What up, brothers? You know, it's kind of funny. The manosphere is the only place where the title of this video would be controversial. Anyways, I'm a little bit behind on videos. I haven't been uploading that much lately, so taking a walk tonight, and I figured I'll just pull out the camera and shoot the shit with you guys. And the title of this video is why you should treat women good. And the reason why I want to make this video is because most dating coaches, red pillars, pickup artists, you know, most guys in the manosphere are, you know, I would say that they're masters at hooking up. Like when it comes to cold approaching, when it comes to getting girls in the bedroom, one night stands and things like that, most guys in the manosphere are masters at that. But the majority of them are failures at long-term relationships, long-term commitments. You know, that's just a fact. If you look at the track record of most of the guys, it's just true. It's just a true statement. I'm not dissing anybody. I'm just stating a fact. And most guys in the manosphere, the advice that they give you is, you know, it's good for short term. You know, they'll tell you things like, you know, you shouldn't pay for a first date. You know, if a girl doesn't want to fuck you on the first night or whatever, you should basically dump her and replace her with somebody else. You know, you should never put a woman on a pedestal. You should never make a woman feel like she's not replaceable. You know, so on and so forth. Like, these are pretty common phrases, pretty common teachings from dating coaches in the manosphere. You know, I hear some of them go as far as saying things like, you should always make a girl come to you. So like, if you want to go out with a girl on Saturday or whatever, you should tell her to meet you at wherever it is you want to go, or at the very most meet you halfway. Don't go where she's at, or some shit like that. You know, and these are just basic messages that dating coaches give to, I guess, to make sure that you're not simping, to make sure that you're not like being super beta. But the problem with this kind of advice, well, first of all, let me explain why this advice works and why it's effective for a lot of guys that are like just trying to get laid. Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched Tom Leykis, Patrice O'Neal, and people like that. And sure, it is kind of true that when you treat women like shit, it does kind of attract them. I think it's almost like it turns them on, right? When you treat women bad, it turns them on. But the problem with that is when you treat somebody bad, like a few times, it works and it actually gets them excited and makes them try harder to impress you. But as time goes on, people just run out of patience. They run out of, you know, she might love you, but if you just treat her like shit for too long, she'll run out of patience. She'll run out of love for you. She'll be like, fuck this, I'm out. You know, it goes both ways. You'd be the same way if a girl was treating you like shit. You might put up with it for a while, but then you would get tired of it after a while. But anyways, the reason why this works in the short term is because it's just basic psychology, right? When you look at narcissistic relationships or abusive relationships, you typically have one person devaluing the other person, right? They might treat them good for a little while, but then they devalue them, and then, you know, it makes the other person want to try harder. And it's just this cycle of ups and downs that can go on for some amount of time, but after a while the other person gets tired of it and they'll just be done for good. They'll just the fire will completely die out. You know, sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes years, but eventually that fire will burn out. It does every time you treat somebody like shit. It's only a temporary move. So, you know, most of the advice you get from the manosphere, again, it's based on something short term. Do you want to be that exciting, you know, borderline emotionally abusive bad boy that says whatever he wants, does whatever he wants, but you have to trade off. You have to make a trade-off. You can be that player. You can get a lot of pussy that way, but you're constantly going to be cycling out, in and out new girls, and you're not really going to have anybody by your side for several decades, because ultimately, you know, most guys out there would rather have somebody that they trust and somebody that they can count on be by their side for several decades. Because throughout life, you know, they say enemies always stay the same. So like, you're going to make enemies and they're always going to be enemies, but friends change. So enemies stay the same and friends change, meaning enemies will always be enemies, but friends will be your friend, but then they'll change and they'll become enemies. And once they become enemies, they're always enemies. But, you know, you have your close family and your really close friends that you can count on that will typically be there for several decades or even a whole lifetime. You know, I think most guys would prefer that the woman in their life be one of those people, right? You don't want to constantly spend your whole life cycling new women in and out because, you know, you're like just living a pickup artist type lifestyle. Nobody wants that. That gets old. I'm telling you, I can tell you 100%. You know, I'm to a point now, just 2 weekends ago, I'm supposed to go over to this, it was like a small get together this girl was having, and she wanted me to hook up with her friend. And like 3 days before the event about took place, she calls me and says her date stood her up, so she's asking if I can fuck both of them. You know, and I'm at a point now where I'm just like, you know, I don't even know if I want to fuck either one of you. Sex is just sex, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm high testosterone. I'm a guy, I like to lift heavy weights, I like hot chicks, I like having sex, but, you know, I'm just not desperate for it anymore. It's so abundant that, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is it gets boring. You know, and if you're out there trying to live like a player lifestyle for a long time, you'll get bored of it. You'd rather be making money or, you know, doing something productive or, you know, spending time with people you care about than going out and getting pussy. So anyways, here's what it comes down to. When you treat somebody bad, sure, early on, you may be putting them through an emotional roller coaster. Sorry, it's like 106 degrees out here. I'm having a hard time talking. Anyways, you might put her through a emotional roller coaster by treating her good and then treating her bad. Basically doing what every dating coach tells you to do. Because anyways, here's what they tell you to do. They tell you to, they say every man should have a program. And if a woman's willing to be part of your program, then, you know, it works, right? You keep her around. So for example, if your program is, you know, you're busy all the time, but she can come over and fuck on Saturday, then that's your program. You know, and if she's willing to abide by that program, you keep her around. If she's not, you get rid of her. You know, that's the type of shit that dating coaches will tell you to do. And what happens is you get a girl excited. She thinks, you know, okay, cool, we got a little relationship going on here. And then when she's not willing to follow your program, you like dump her and treat her like shit, basically, and move on to somebody else. And the problem with that, if you're somebody that naturally does that, you have a mental disorder probably, and you need to probably see a doctor, see a psychologist, because you lack empathy. You know, you just lack the empathy, and you don't have the emotional intelligence to understand that that's not a good way to treat somebody. And you know, who are the people that have low emotional IQs? Who are the people that have low empathy? Usually narcissists or psychopaths, or, you know, extreme sociopaths. But, you know, it's not a good look. It's not the way you want to be. But anyways, that's what dating coaches will tell you to do. And the problem with that is, although you ride this wave of hot and cold, up and down, emotional roller coaster that excites women, every time you treat her bad and every time you let her down, that fire is going to go out a little bit more. You know, her love for you is going to get a little bit weaker, a little bit smaller, till eventually it totally runs out. You know, and this is what happens to most guys that want to live like, you know, like a really hardcore player lifestyle for too long. They end up getting washed up, you know. And unless you got a lot of money and you can go full Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, it ain't gonna work out too well for you. But when you treat somebody good, you don't treat them bad, you just treat them good. It has the opposite effect. You know, it's when you treat somebody good, it allows, okay, let's put it like this. When you treat somebody bad, they lose love for you slowly throughout time. When you treat somebody good, it allows them to maintain that love. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you've ever been with somebody that treats you bad. Like, at first, like, it might hurt you a little bit, but as time goes on, you become numb to it because, you know, your tolerance for them or your love for them is just getting smaller each time. And that's how you build an emotional IQ, by the way. It's, you know, getting treated like shit will help you become, you know, very smart emotionally. It'll help you really get in touch with your emotions, because you'll start to realize, when people treat me good, the relationship works. When people treat me bad, the relationship usually fails. You know, should be common sense. But the reason why people buy into this shit so much is because so many guys have this real problem, right, with simping. So many guys are legitimately, you know, simps. But I want you guys to understand something. The difference between a ladies' man and a simp has nothing to do with how nice you are and how good you treat people, because a ladies' man and a simp both treat women good. They're both generally nice guys. So it has nothing to do with them being nice or them being kind or them treating people good. The difference between a ladies' man and a simp is the simp is stupid. Okay? The simp has, you know, no respect for himself, you could say. So he will do things. For example, you know, a ladies' man might buy a woman dinner because, how you doing? Good. Because she's one of his people, right? And he takes care of his people. You know, you would buy your child dinner, you would buy your mother dinner, you would buy your brother dinner, you would buy your best friend dinner, you would buy your girlfriend dinner, right? But a simp buys a woman dinner because he wants to win her over, right? He does it for his own selfish reasons because He thinks if he buys her dinner, he might get her to like him. You know, he does it out of weakness, out of desperation. That's the difference. And, you know, it doesn't have to be buying dinner. It could be anything. It could be giving a woman a compliment. A simp does it because he thinks if he gives her compliments, she's going to like him. You know, a proper kind of man gives women compliments because he legitimately believes it and he legitimately wants to make her feel good. You know, it's not that he's trying to win her over. You know, he doesn't really have to win her over because trials and tribulations have shown that he usually wins them over anyways. And he has respect for himself, so he's not, you know, going on every day trying to, you know, how you doing? Good. Trying to win people over. There's actually a lot of girls out tonight in the neighborhood. If I didn't look like a fucking retard talking into my camera, I would, anyways. Yeah, guys, but, how you doing? Alright. Good. But, you know, it's just kind of goofy that, so many guys in the manosphere promote these ideas like ignoring women is the proper way to conduct yourself around them, knocking them off the pedestal, treating them like they don't really matter. You know, a lot of guys think that's the best way to go. Or literally, man, the worst one is saying that you have a program, and like my program is you're gonna meet me at the bar at 8 o'clock. If you're not willing to meet me at the bar, you know, I'm gonna replace you with somebody else. Imagine you had a daughter. Imagine you had a daughter and some dude is picking her up to take her out on a date. And you're like, so where are you gonna take my daughter out? You know, what are you gonna do? What are you and my daughter gonna be doing? And you're like, sir, with all due respect, that bitch is gonna meet me at the bar, and if she ain't trying to fuck, I'm gonna kick her out and make her walk home. And then I'm gonna call another bitch and I'm gonna fuck her instead. Like, alright, that might be kind of alpha, not gonna lie. It'd make you a piece of shit, but I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a funny example, but you know, it's kind of what dating coaches, a lot of them teach you to become. And that might work in the short term, but obviously, you know, if you're somebody that's thinking long term, you're a little bit more of a serious person, maybe even a purple pillar, it ain't gonna work for you. But hey guys, you know, I've been rambling on for quite some time. I don't know how this one came out. Like I said, it's like 105 degrees. And it's kind of hard to think straight, to be honest with you, but hopefully this video was somewhat informative. But I'm about home now, so you know, got to bounce. Peace.
To the window, to the wall, until the sweat drops down my balls, until all you bitches crawl. Oh, skeet, skeet, goddamn.